Welcome to Thrive and Advance podcast, where we help you make business growth predictable, profitable, and enjoyable. I'm Dr. Shorey Aftahi, your host, and I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today, my good friend, Jack Roldan, the founder and CEO of C-Deep Consulting, an early adopter and innovator in the field of digital revolution, focusing on creating differentiated customer experience. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Sheree.
Excellent. I'm going to turn it to you, and you tell us about yourself and what you would like our listeners to know about you.
Well, first off, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with Thrive&Advance today to share a little bit about my story, my insights and experiences that I hope will help other entrepreneurs and business leaders out there. But as you mentioned, I'm the owner and founder of C-Deep Consulting. We work at making tomorrow's insights available today. And as you mentioned, we're really a part of that digital revolution that is sweeping the globe. And so really excited to be here to chat with you this afternoon.
Thank you. And yes, so digitization is the word, right? We talk about digitizing reporting, digitizing everything. So, artificial intelligence is here to stay and to grow. So where would you advise your clients to start?
Well, I think the important thing is to understand, what are your goals? A lot of times people feel that they need a strategy or need to implement some sort of tactics to overcome an obstacle that they never really define. And so that's really spending some time to define, what are those goals and what are we looking to achieve ultimately? And it may sound oversimplified, but I can't tell you how many times a client just says that they need remedy A, B, and C without truly understanding, is that the right approach? And sometimes it is, sometimes it's a mixture, but really it's taking that time to step back and understand, what do we want to accomplish and what does success look like?
Mm-hmm. So knowing that you are my go-to person and I have learned so much about you, about digital world and social media and all that there is. Now, if someone, a business owner, CEO, executives ask you, what does that look like? What goals would I need to set? How do you advise them? What do you ask them to list, talk about, reflect on, to be able to identify those goals for their digital platform?
Well, really, it's understanding, where are they today? What tools are they using? What has been the strategy thus far? And ultimately, what is it that they want to achieve? Is that more web traffic? Does that mean more customers in store, more phone calls to their centers? It's really about understanding, what do we want to achieve, and then figuring out, what is it going to take to create those actions. Ultimately, most business owners, most CEOs and officers are really looking for growth and looking for a system or a mechanism to track what the return on investment is.
So what I'm hearing is, if your goal is to make your brand a household name, or your goal is to drive traffic to your business, whether it's online or to your store, then activities would be different. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And it depends. Are we looking to enhance the brand? Are we looking to create a better online customer experience? Are we looking at protecting somebody's online reputation? Reviews are extremely important today. I think we all use them all the time. And so it's a matter of which of those, and there's many more, it's not fully inclusive, but which of those strategies, which of those roadmaps best leads to the outcome desired, if that makes sense.
And you brought up customer experience. Of course, all of us, everyone that is in business wants to make sure that your customers have an exceptional experience.
Right.
And when they do so, then you have a better reputation. Tell us a little bit more in depth. How do you manage helping an organization better their reputation and increase customer experience satisfaction?
So there's some great questions, Sheree. And so the first thing that's important to define is that customer experience is not customer service. It is about the ease in which you allow for your prospective customers, your customers, or past clients to engage with your brand and conduct business, ultimately leading to what's likely a transaction, whether it's that sale, phone call, or otherwise. And so what's really critical for brands to understand is what is limiting their customer experience from being fluid. If we think about Amazon, they've mastered customer experience, right? We're all so used to that next day delivery or 2-day delivery. Easy to put it into your cart, check out, and next thing you know, sometimes the same day, it's here at your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
That is customer experience, right? That has nothing to do with a service engagement between two individuals at some moment in time. And so I think that for business executives and business owners, it's really critical for them to understand and evaluate all areas of the business where the consumer engages, whether it's online, within brick and mortar, over the phone. It's important to distinguish what does that look like, and then what enhancements can be made to each of those processes. To talk about reputation, customer experience ties directly to that. Was it easy to do business with you? Did I come in and was I dazzled by your institution? And when we do have a good or a bad experience, we're inclined to tell other people. And what's really fascinating today is that 85% of Americans trust online reviews, from who to choose for their doctor to where to go eat next,
Mm-hmm.
online over friends and family. So 80% of us trust an anonymous review that we find online just as much as the people closest to us. And that's really interesting. And so that's why putting together an effective strategy to ensure that you're looking at customer service across all channels and then mitigating what that reputation looks like online is really critical for brands today.
Right. So if a business has been in business, has been operating for several years, and they don't have a digital footprint, digital
Okay.
platform, where do you recommend to them to start? And how do they increase their digital footprint?
Sure.
Because, when we try to do it all in one day, obviously it's not a good practice. So what is the roadmap that you recommend to your clients, to our audience, to actually take in creating a holistic approach to having a digital footprint?
So that brings up another great point, and that's where can I go to find information about that brand? And that's that digital footprint, right? Is
Mhm.
it a Google My Business page? Is it a Facebook page? Is it a Google My Business page? Is it a Facebook page? Is it another channel where we get information? And what's really important for the audience to know is, where can they go now? What can they do on their own to ultimately grow that footprint? And there's a couple of things there's several rather, of things that people can do to start. And that's number one, if they don't have a Google My Business page, simply Google My Business and sign up, create an account, and fill in as much information about your brand as possible. This is going to do two things. It's going to tell the Internet of Things and search engines everything about your business, but it's also going to be an information hub for potential customers who are searching either for your business specifically, a related brand, or otherwise that encounter your presence online. So from creating the Google My Business account to going onto Facebook, if you don't have a Facebook or Instagram page, creating those accounts, and again, doing the same thing. We can talk about Yellow Pages, we can talk about Bing, we can talk about Apple Maps, all in the same way. Each of these channels, Sheree, creates a repository of information. So when we use our smart devices and we talk to Siri to summon up some information or directions, that's pulling from Apple Maps. So it's important that you not only create these accounts, but that you're continually optimizing and adding content on a regular basis. And then the final thing with all of these channels that you've created is really making sure that you verify them. It's important to become a verified page, and it's very easy for you to claim those business listings officially. That helps you with your rankings, the visibility, etc. So that's really where I tell any consumer, regardless of industry, size of business, etc., where they can start.
And just emphasizing one thing that you repeatedly said, consistency is the case. So
Absolutely.
just creating the account and posting or having content available on those accounts is just not going to do the trick. You have to do it on a consistent basis. That consistency is what gives you power, right?
Right, absolutely. And so think about it like this. It's an echo chamber of information. And when you're saying the exact same thing, there's synchronicity in that same message. Now, when you have different pieces of information coming out that should be the same, that becomes a convoluted message that leads to an adverse customer experience, right? And so it's important to think about these three things. NAP, name, address, phone number. It is very, very important for each of those to be consistent, as you mentioned, across all channels. If Google says that you are located on XYZ Street, spelled out as such, then Facebook should also have XYZ Street instead of ST period. At that point, you're creating inconsistencies for the algorithms, for these search engines to really understand what information is accurate. And when we have misinformation, which happens very often, for example, in healthcare, only 35% of practices and other institutions have accurate or verified information online. And that's a staggering number.
Right, right. So, knowing that there are a lot of businesses that are focused on digitizing marketing per se, such as Google ads, Facebook ads, now we have LinkedIn ads and such. So many of us go spend a lot of money getting into these ads without having the foundation and get frustrated and just give it up altogether. So what is your view of advertising on different platforms and when someone should actually advertise?
It's another great point to bring up. And fortunately or unfortunately, it is a pay-to-play game. If you want to get your brand in front of more people, it's going to cost you money. It's no different than advertising on television, in print, or any other medium. It's really the same. And so what's really critical for people to understand before launching a campaign is, again, what is our goal? Are we looking to drive more sales? Do we just want more visibility of the brand, more people visiting our website? I'll give you an example. We recently launched a campaign. A client wanted us to really just drive traffic to their store. They felt that if people just got to the website, that would lead to a conversion or a sale, right? And ultimately, we were very successful in driving a 67% increase in traffic over a very short period of time. However, we might say that's a great success, but when we look at that conversion, we were driving people to a website that wasn't very clear, didn't tell people what exactly was for sale, what options they could do. So it's really important to understand, not only do we have the right strategy in place and the right tactics aligned with that strategy, but are we ready? Are we at a starting point? Have we built the foundation for where we need to be? And so if that's having people find our online store, locate our e-commerce site and make a purchase, well, then we need to make it easy to not just display the merchandise, but also allow for that checkout to be smooth as well.
Right. The whole process needs to be functioning properly for customers to really frequently visit or purchase.
Right, exactly. And again, it comes down to what is the goal. And I can't stress enough for that to clearly be defined and, for people to really write those goals down in advance. One of the things I like to tell people in terms of what to master and what can help you as a business owner today, it's writing down the goals, whether they're daily goals on the board. For this session, I have some goals written down, but it's important to structure things that way. And I keep coming back to that because once that is clear, then we can develop that pathway to success. And ultimately, that's our preference.
Right. So like everything else in life, if we don't have a goal, we just have a bunch of wish list, which we will not see it come true. Now, have
Right.
you had an experience working with your clients that they had to make a difficult decision and hit the reset button? And what is that process? How have you helped them understand what they have done is all over the place? Let's hit the reset button and start from the beginning and build up.
That's another great thing to consider, because so many times we get into something and we're not sure, what do we do? Do we cut our losses? Do we hit the reset button? Do we re-engage and try to salvage this initiative that we've launched? And sometimes you have to just walk away. It is okay. So it is okay to start over and to build again. It is, what is the saying out there? Doing the same thing, expecting to achieve different results is insanity. And it
Right.
truly is. It truly is, right? And so it is really important for people to be able to say it's okay to walk away. It's okay to say we have made this investment. This was not the right decision that we've made. And now we're going to pivot, or we're going to optimize that process and change the outcome and change that trajectory that we may have been on. I've
Right.
seen where folks have started paid campaigns, as I mentioned before, driving lots of traffic, spending lots of dollars unnecessarily with zero return. Negative ROI is never a good thing. We all want to see that positive return, right?
Absolutely. ROI is the king. Is there a platform that companies can use in-house to manage their customer experience that is effective, efficient, it's not very costly, but it will produce results?
Tools for business owners are extremely important. And I think that this is one that many people should consider. What tools do I have at my disposal that will help for me to improve that customer experience, right? There's lots of software solutions that are out there in the age of technology. It's infinite, right? I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of resources to help your business. But one to really think about customer experience is one like the Sonar 2020 platform, which is a full stack solution that allows for brands and organizations to really evaluate and manage that reputation online, from those business listings that we mentioned, the reviews that we talked about, what do their rankings look like? Also things like, what are the images online associated with my brand? If I'm a restaurant, do I have the most appealing looking food, or did another consumer leave me a half-eaten plate, which doesn't look the most appetizing for that customer who might be doing a Google search? And so our
Right.
Sonar 2020 platform is available as a software as a service option that allows for business owners to utilize the tool themselves, or we have a full service option, obviously the prior being the least expensive and the most consumer friendly option for small business owners looking at a starting point. But it's really a sophisticated piece of software. You can also look at, the Google My Business platform. It's free. You can manage your reviews from there, at least on the Google platform. You can launch campaigns just like Facebook and some of the other ones that are free. But customer experience itself, there really isn't a tool yet that I've encountered that is going to allow for you to monitor what's happening online, what's happening in store from that experiential standpoint, right? From the digital world, absolutely multiple tools, but I think it still remains to be seen for something to really encapsulate all areas of experience, especially for an enterprise level organization. I think that would be really interesting to see.
So when we think about a business and consider that everything that goes, all the processes, all the systems and people that are part of a business are the ingredients, right? So if you have the right formula to apply, as though you're cooking, right? You need to have the right ingredients to make the dish
Absolutely.
flavorful and good experience. Now, in scaling a digital transformation, what are the most important ingredients that you would start from A to Z that you would list to say, if you are thinking about creating that digital revolution for yourself and transform your business, what are those specific ingredients that you might recommend to your clients other than what you've mentioned?
Sure. I think there's a number of things that are really important, right? And so a lot of times we want to take upon ourselves more than what we probably should. And our philosophy is that you should always focus on your end customer, on what you do best, and let others who do something better manage that for you. And so I think that it is critical to leverage outside partnerships, third-party vendors, to complete some of the tasks that are necessary. A lot of times we think we can bring this in-house and manage it, and there's a couple of things. A, that's not our area of expertise. B, we might not have the right person. And C, we may not know everything that we need, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And there may be elements to technology, strategy, rules of the internet, etc., that would be gleaned from an agency or an outside organization that can provide that type of insight. So starting there, it's important that you research who you're doing business with. There's a number of organizations out there that purport to produce results that are really unrealistic, not achievable. And so it's important to look at reputation online. What do the reviews say? What do others say about the organization? Are there references available? Because typically, Sheree, most organizations that are making an investment into their digital infrastructure and social strategies, etc., invest a significant amount, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or annually. We're talking about a substantial sum where return is expected. And so it's really critical to partner, not find a vendor, but partner with somebody who's going to help bring your vision to life, and somebody that you think that you'll be able to relate on, not just in terms of, am I going to get value out of this product or service, but is this an organization that I believe in and that believes in me, where we can grow together? So that's the number one. Number two, ask for reporting, ask for documentation. All too many times, organizations, like I said, promise to deliver results. But can they show those results on paper? Is there statistically significance to what we're seeing? And so we believe that it's important to look at the data. The proof is in the numbers, and not just a single example, but do we see a pattern developing over time? Or is this a moment in time that is being used as a whole reference? We believe in looking at longer periods of data, so that you can ascertain what is the behavior, what is that outcome that has been driving said behavior, and is this organization responsible for said actions? And so Systems like ours develop reports for everything that we do, comparing store to store, location to location, competitor by competitor, really showing you what the changes are in dynamic real-time reports. And so those companies that are a little bit better organized, that I think likely have a stronger reputation and foundation for delivering the results that clients and businesses are looking for, will be able to showcase the results through dashboards and other reporting mechanisms.
Right. So, and you brought up a topic that I think is on most of our minds, and that is ROI. How would we track? What would we track
Sure.
and measure to understand the ROI, or can we?
We sure can. And so it's taken some time for the digital industry to really be able to produce documentation and compelling evidence for the results that they purported to achieve. And so we are here today where we can establish a baseline. We know today what sort of traffic is coming into a door, what is happening with a website, how many clicks is it achieving, how many clicks on a post are we seeing, phone calls, etc. And so we can establish a baseline of where we're at today and then compare within a trial period, let's say over 6 months, and show, is there incremental growth? Can we quantify the impact of this program statistically, not just measuring the numbers from the various campaign, as I had mentioned before, but also taking that data, Sheree, and combining it to synthesize what is happening with both the client's numbers as well as the actions generated to really develop a true outlook of the impact of said campaigns. But typically you can see today a lot of those insights without having to do such a comprehensive analysis, because you can look at a real-time dashboard, see how many actions have been generated over time, look at bar graphs that show that growth that's consistent, so that somebody can determine, is this ROI positive? And it's really exciting to be able to showcase report after report that shows growth in just so many different areas for a brand.
Right. And what do you recommend the minimal time to allow the tracking and measuring and reporting to be devoted to a trial before we can decide whether it's a yay or nay? Did we get an ROI from it or not? Because a lot of people jump the gun too fast, or sometimes they let it run too long and the company incurs a lot of cost. So what are your thoughts?
So my thoughts comes back to that goal again. What do we want to achieve? So if we're looking at achieving growth in areas like search, unbranded visibility, the number of consumers that are visiting our business, asking for directions online, then you can look at a 3 to 6 month roadmap. And it really depends by business. Is it competitive? What is the vertical that we're looking to attack? All of those factors matter, but we can typically show results that are measurable within 3 to 6 months, sometimes shorter than that. But really, you want to give yourself enough time to have data to analyze. Just because you saw a single spike at a moment in time doesn't mean that that's going to necessarily be the trend for the rest of that period. And so this gives you a baseline to understand what are the impacts. And a lot of times consumers and businesses see that impact fairly quickly and then fail to act and kind of sit on it, as you mentioned. And so conversely, I think that people need to obviously be risk takers and make a decision. What is that comfort level? Has the organization shown you enough documentation that aligns with your own numbers? I would never ask a business to rely on our analytics solely. I would ask them to do a comparison between theirs so that they're comfortable about establishing what hopefully is a long-term partnership.
Is there another area that we didn't touch that you feel is important for our listeners to know?
We did. And that's that my favorite goddaughter gave me this glass. We didn't get to touch on this, so I needed to make sure to point that out. But in all seriousness, I think that one of the things that's really important that people understand is that it's not all about what you're selling, who you are, and that message about what you can provide to a consumer.
Hmm.
A quarter of your content, so 25% of what you're posting on Facebook, on Google, Instagram, or any other social channel, 25% of that should be non-branded or not related to exactly what you're selling or providing. That provides a compelling reason for consumers to continue engaging with your brand, following you, wanting to learn what's next, versus seeing the next hamburger, sandwich, or hotel room special that's available for that week. That can get tiresome, boring. We're already inundated with so many advertisements, so much information online. But this is a way to really cut through the clutter and build engagement and a pretty loyal following.
So another way of stating what you just said is the focus should be on creating an emotional relationship with our customers. And
Absolutely.
that emotional relationship is not always just what we sell, our product, our service, but as humans, how do we touch one another? How do we
Right.
reach out and create that relationship that goes beyond our product and service?
Right. That's exactly right. And there's just so much content that's out there.
Hmm.
People are looking at what value can you provide to me? And what value can you provide to them besides, again, that return and exchange that's transaction.
Hmm.
So think about, you're a food company or hospitality. Are there ways of promoting messages of positivity, fitness, of just promoting, the beauty of the outdoors, none of which likely have anything to do with those brands, but again, creates that emotional connection and attachment to that consumer relationship.
Excellent. Jack, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure there are many questions that our audience may have, and your information is included on the webpage, and they can contact you and ask questions directly. And I'm assuming that will be okay with you.
Absolutely. Any questions, any guidance that anybody needs out there, feel free to reach out via email, check out our website online, but would love to help and answer any questions and be a resource out there.
Thank you again for joining us today, and I hope to have you again on our show to dig into other parts of social and digital transformation that is out there that is overtaking our world at this point. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity with Thrive and Advance.